Welcome to the ChangeMakers podcast, brought to you by City Current and powered by Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance. This show shares personal stories and insight from those who are giving back and making a difference, so we can learn and do the same. We cover life lessons, business advice, passion, and purpose. Now, here's our host, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the ChangeMakers podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We have a rare treat. He's flown in from Charlotte, North Carolina. He travels all around the world. He's a global ambassador. He's the co-founder with his wife, Tracy. He's the president and CEO of Samaritan's Feet, Dr. Manny Ohonme. More importantly, though, you're like my brother. So, How are you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic, Jeremy. It is like coming home every time I come to Memphis. Your joy, you're electric, buddy. You ignite every place you go. So it's great to be here.
Well, the fun of it is that our relationship started back in 2010. We brought you in as a guest speaker, and you shared your story in front of hundreds of business leaders. And we were teasing, even just earlier today, the fact that one of the CEOs found a bucket. I still don't know where he found a bucket, but he found a bucket, started passing it around. He said, "I'm so inspired by your story. I want to raise money right here and now." We raised about $3,000 to $5,000 by passing this bucket around, but we committed to doing these shoe distributions, the Samaritan's Feet shoe distributions, here in Memphis. Ever since then, we've blessed thousands and thousands of kids, hundreds of volunteers coming out, washing kids' feet, giving them new socks and shoes, doing amazing things. And that's a small piece of your huge legacy when you look at this point, almost 7 million people that you've blessed around the world, adorning their feet with new shoes, but more importantly, washing their feet, sharing love, sharing a higher purpose. So let's back up. Let's go to your childhood where it all began. Give us a little bit of a glimpse of your upbringing, and you were the kid on Discovery Channel with the water on your head, but give us a little bit of your childhood growing up.
Oftentimes people always wonder, what was it like for you growing up, Manny? I think my story is no different than any other child that grew up in West Africa, or East Africa, or even on the other side of Asia. The reality is 2/3 of people in the world, they live on anywhere from $1 to $2.50 a day. The reality is many of them live on a meal a day. Many of them grew up never sleeping in their bed all their lives. I was joking around today when I was talking to this group of people saying, hey, the first bed I slept on was out of my college, that me and the rats and cockroaches knew each other on a first name basis. Because that's our reality. Our world was different. You had to walk to go get water. You grew up not having shoes. Shoes in our country here is a fashion accessory. But to the million of people around the world like me and my friends and my relatives, it's actually a vehicle to help us survive. That's our mode of transportation. So not having shoes can mean life and death to many people. So my world was, I grew up in a home, first generation Christian, my mom and dad. My mom was actually the first Christian in my family tree, so it's pretty amazing to watch the transformation and see where they've come from. My family were very unique. I grew up in a home with about 5 sisters and 2 other brothers, one biological, one adopted, first cousin that moved in with us when he was a little kid when his parents passed away. I had 3 other uncles and 2 aunties that lived with us, and with a relative from the village that also came because you got to go to the big city, and they forgot in that big city there was only 2 rooms and we have 15 of us. Guess what happened? We all on the floor. I still remember like yesterday, Jeremy, when I became a junior in high school. I graduated to be able to sleep on the table. I said, I've died, gone to heaven, man. I'm arrived. So my world was so different. But there was one thing that was constant that my mom made sure was, plenty available, was her love for us. I didn't even realize we were poor growing up because, we still had 1 meal a day. There were some families that couldn't afford a meal. So our world was so loving. My father had his struggles with alcohol, with some of the other things. But it's amazing to watch that where I came from to where I am today. At the age of 9, I had to worry about what most 99.9% of American kids would never ever think about. How do I contribute to the bottom line of my family? At the age of 9. I learned how to go sell on the streets. I had to sell water, carry baskets, go sell either water or soft drinks, whatever it is, so we can add a few extra dollars, so we can have a good meal. And it's crazy. One day, Jeremy, I was fortunate enough, after you've done your chore in the morning and you go to school, you come back and then you got to go sell, and before you come even think about homework, I was out there trying to sell water and soft drinks to these athletes at the park by my house in Lagos, Nigeria. And there was this group of missionaries that came to teach us how to play sports. I didn't realize that day I was about to have a date with destiny, never knowing what you walk into. I showed up that day thinking I was there to sell water, and I saw these guys. They were dribbling basketballs. They were orange balls that could dribble. We kicked that stuff around in my neighborhood.
You thought it was a soccer ball.
I thought it was, what are you guys doing, man? And they were teaching us how to dribble and play basketball. And I want to join them, but they didn't want me to join them because I was a vendor, a street vendor. I didn't belong there, and it's crazy. Even though they knew who I was, and that's one of the things I think. If you're listening today, you say, you know what, you've been trying to pursue a big dream, a big vision. I want to tell you, you're always going to have opposition. There's no shortage of dream killers in the world. There were those dream killers sitting there. They may be 9, 10, 11, 12 years old in Nigeria that they were trying to steal and rob me of my destiny. Not knowing that then, but now I do. It's crazy. So I saw when one of those balls ran around the corner, I kind of grabbed and snuck in and kind of became part of them, trying to dribble and passing the ball. And then this missionary had the audacity to say, we're going to have a shooting competition. And he said the price for the winner is going to be a new pair of tennis shoes. Bro, that place went crazy. Literally crazy.
And that's like having a Ferrari or a Lamborghini in Nigeria. So that one prize ended up changing your life.
When your parents, people in your neighborhood live on about $1 a day, and a pair of tennis shoes will cost you anywhere from $30 to $40, you can't even afford that, right, in your lifetime. And somebody said they're going to give that to you. Literally, they were like giving you a car. And we were crazy. We want to pick us. And I was fortunate I was got picked. And it's crazy. And when my turn came, I never played basketball in my life, Jeremy. The first shot I took that day was nothing but net. I told everybody, I said, man, after, a few years later now, and I'm telling the story, I said, man, Angels was working overtime, bro, because I didn't know how to play basketball, I made 2 shots that changed my life. It's an amazing story to think about me winning that competition, this missionary coming in front and presenting my first ever pair of tennis shoes. Just seeing the smile on my face. The joy, I felt like my heart was going to leap out of my chest.
Well, you were so excited that you literally left your water there and ran home.
You, man, I want to run home.
And your mom's like, where's the water?
I said, Mama, check out my shoes. And, she was so happy for me. And then a few minutes later, she said, son, you better go bring my water, or else you about to meet Jesus. You know what I'm saying? It was something else. But basketball became my love, my passion, because it became an escape for me. Because the life at home was tough, especially in this season of life. My father had a lot of pressure. Here's a guy, people don't realize this, but here's a guy that grew up so fast. Father had, multiple wives, and they had a bunch of children. He passed away when my father was a junior in high school. He had to rush to graduate high school so he can go get a job as a grave digger at a cemetery and work in landscaping type of work so he can actually make ends meet, because now all of a sudden he's just getting married and he's got all these kids. He's got to be responsible. So pressure of life got to him. And I always tell people, pressure sometimes will hit us, and it does one or two things to you. One, either draws you closer to God, or you fill that void with something. You self-medicate yourself, or use alcohol, you use whatever it is, or some people, there's relationships. And my father leaned to the alcohol side, and that destroyed his life, and a whole bunch of other things that he abused. But I all of a sudden, I'm growing up in this home. The father that I knew as a little boy wasn't the same guy, because this spirit is taking over him. And you know what? But it was always a glimpse of the old self, and I cling to that. I want that to come back so bad. But and I know people listening on this today, I know there's some people listening here today, your parents or family members, somebody's struggling with some type of addiction. I want to encourage you, don't give up on them. Keep praying for them, because the God of the universe, has plans for your life and their life. So please inspire, encourage, and be there in their moment of desperation, because breakthrough will come at some time. So my father probably end up, those choices are costing his life.
Well, I do want to touch on the fact that your mom, being a Christian, would pray over you at night.
Oh man, I mean, it's amazing. She's the most inspirational person I've ever met. Because my father, when he was going through these things, Jeremy, it's so crazy, and it's just like people listening. I'm pretty sure when you live with somebody with an addictive personality, the people closest to them are the ones that feel hurt the most. They hurt people that they love, and not because they want to, but just that they just can't control it. And my father will sometimes get drunk, and he will beat me up, he will curse at me and swear at me, and all I ever heard from him is that I'll never amount to much. And imagine coming from, I mean, fathers are supposed to speak blessing over their children, and when the one that's supposed to be your number one cheerleader is the one cursing you. And I just remember my mom would come behind me every time you say all these negative words to me. My mom would come behind him and put her hands on my head, and she would say, in the name of Jesus, whatever curses man puts on my son will never come to pass, because my God has promised me that he can do all things. And she always has a way of saying, I'll go to her sometimes, Jeremy. I said, Mom, why do we have to live this poor? And she'd look at me and she'd take me by the window and say, son, I want you to look outside. And she said, son, do you see anything? What do you see? And I'll look and around. I said, Mom, there are trees. She said, son, no, I don't think you're looking high enough. I said, look out there, what do you see? I said, Mom, I see birds. No, son, you're not looking high enough. She said, what do you see? I said, Mom, I see the clouds. And then she said, everyone know why God created the sky so high? And I said, I don't know, Mama. And she said, so poor boys like you can dream real high. She said, son, never make an excuse for life. He said, make sure your boat is anchored to the creator of life. He's promised me that you're going to do great. She always have a way of saying all these things that you want to get mad at the world. But when he brings it back to the original purpose, because that's what most people don't realize. We're not here by accident. God has an ordained purpose for our existence, even though our pain, misery from our past may actually become what's necessary as the stepping stone to the greatness that God has in store for our life. So that's what I've chosen to live my life by now. But in those days, I couldn't see it because, I had dreams just like everybody else in the world, but it was like as far as the moon. But my mom always had a way of connecting it back to the one that created the moon, saying he has plans for you. And when you go into hard times, sometimes you just see the problem. You don't realize the solution is around the corner. So basketball became my love. Mom was a great encourager. My coach ended up introducing me to some coaches here through letters, and I ended up getting 5 scholarship offers. And I didn't know much about this country, I said, and I know New York, Los Angeles, Houston, Texas. I said, I'll go to the school with the best looking brochure. I didn't know anything.
And so where did you end up?
Man, just marketing people. They are so bad. I ended up in the University of North Dakota in Lake Region. I said, man, I've done something wrong to God. My goodness. What's an African boy doing in North Dakota? I must have done something wrong.
So tell people, I think it's hilarious though. Instead of living in a normal dorm room, where did you stay?
I showed up there. They were, first and foremost, I was supposed to show up sometime in the early summer, because part of the requirement of the student athletes, you got to come in, take some summer classes, so we couldn't afford the tickets. My mom sold everything, borrowed all the money, and all she could afford was to still buy a ticket for me to get to Chicago. After traveling 2 days, I showed up at O'Hare Airport thinking I've got to my destination, and I showed the address to this Northwest airline lady. I said, I'm going to this school. She said, where's the school? Show me the address. She said, son, you still got another place. I said, how big is this country, man? I've been traveling for 2 days. I still know. He said, you got to buy another ticket. I said, oh man, how much is a ticket? He said it was $180. I just about died, because part of the requirement, then you have to bring enough money to be able to buy your own insurance. And I thought we were able to raise, after paying the tickets, $300. I thought that was going to last me for 3 years. So she said $180. My stomach just got sick. I said, oh, man, that's 2 years of income. And she said, son, you better decide. You have 2 ways to get to North Dakota. You better get on this Northwest airline fly, now called Delta. In those days, it was Northwest. Oh, you get a Greyhound. I said, buddy, but I don't think I want to put my enemy on Greyhound bus going that far. I said, well, I don't mind. That sounds cheap, but buddy, you don't want to do that. You don't know this country. So I finally bought the ticket. I got to North Dakota. My coach was away. That's the other lesson I learned, because in Africa, man, you just show up. You don't call ahead, you know what I'm saying? Because they thought I wasn't coming. Now it's winter season. School is already started, so my coach was away. I showed up. I called him from the airport, and he's not picking up the phone. I said, what kind of coach is this? How come he's not even picking up his own call? And I ended up sleeping at the airport that night. My first lesson in America, man, call ahead, So I stayed at the airport that night. It was crazy. It finally got the next morning I took a bus, another 90 miles. Oh my gosh, I'm on this bus drive. I said 90 miles on Greyhound took us almost 8 hours. I said, oh Lord help me. Got there, didn't know where I was going. I asked the attendant. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to school there. He said, it's only a couple miles. See, I'm from Africa. I didn't know what a couple miles was. See, the way we describe direction in Africa, so you walk a few minutes, you're going to see an abandoned building or another old church and turn right. I don't know north, left, south, or east. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. So they would give me this direction. I'm walking down. I'm wearing a linen suit. It's winter. It's freezing. I'm shaking, I'm walking, I don't know what 2 miles is. I'm walking and this car pulls over. I said, man, this brother definitely ain't from around here. They said, are you Emmanuel? I just about passed away. He said, how did they know my name? They said, they wrote an article about you earlier in the spring that you were coming this summer, so we thought you weren't coming. So he said, can I give you a ride? So I'm like still looking, how can they know my name? They drove me to the campus, nobody was there. So I said, well, let's just want to come have dinner with us. So they took me to their home. I mean, indoctrination to the American society. They got me to their home. They were having a brunch. They were coming back from church. The Mosier, Larry and Sheila Mosier family, and their 3 sons. And they were about to have food. Bro, I've never seen this much food in my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a celebration. They had mashed potatoes, gravy, turkey. I'm like, I'm salivating. I've never seen this much food in my life. And I sat down. I was so hungry. And I didn't know how to eat this food. That's the other thing, you know. So I'm eating so fast, and these little 3 boys were looking at me. What is wrong with his brother? And I didn't know how to eat stuffing, so I took the bun. I put the stuffing in the bun. I was eating like a sandwich. The guy said, that brother's weird, man. It was amazing. I tell you what, and we finally finished eating, and I was so tired because I've been walking. I fell asleep. I woke up, there was a note next to me. They trust everybody in North Dakota, man. I was a stranger from Africa. They left me in their home. Said, we went to visit some friends. We'll be back. Just make yourself available. I'm like, oh, man, what am I doing here? They love me. They became my parents down there. So finally got me to campus, got me my room. It's got windows. And guess what's outside of those windows? Snow. Every time I look at those snow, my knee buckle. I said, I'm going to die in this place. This is not meant for me. I said, Coach, you got to give me a different room. I said, what do you mean a different room? I said, I want a room with no window because I can't keep looking at that snow every day. I'm going to die. And said, okay, well, there's a storage room in the middle of the step. It's like a boiler kind of stuff. He said, do you want that room? I said, oh, I want that room. That's going to be hot. You know? So they said, they moved me to this little storage boiler kind of room in the middle of this dormitory. I loved it. I cranked my heat up to about 87 degrees in there. I remember my coach coming to visit me. He walked in and ran back out. He said, man, you going to kill yourself. I like it just like Africa. Just leave it alone, you know. It was just amazing. You know? My experience there was amazing. I finished there, transferred, went out to another school in Minnesota, then came back for my master's in North Dakota State and got into software business. Life was going so well, but it was so tough because my father got sick through this process. Because I tell people all the time that God will allow us to make our choices, but seldom is allowed to pick our consequences. The choice for my father to abuse alcohol cost him his life. My father ended up dying, but thank God, 2 weeks before my father passed away, he finally made things right between him and God. So I hope, looking for one day when I reunite with him in heaven. It's going to be an amazing reunion. But the cool thing, we got a chance to spend some of the best 2 weeks of that relationship talking about the important things. But I had to go back to bury my father. And I remember going back to Nigeria. Now I've been here 10 years plus, and I'm now working for a software company, doing well. It's crazy. I got to my house. I was so overwhelmed, Jeremy. Think about having that many people live in a house. I mean, we all live in one room. My mom and dad had a room. Our bathroom I couldn't even use our bathroom. I was so overwhelmed. I had to go across the street to where I used to sell water, and that's when God opened my eyes. And I saw those children just like me. They didn't have shoes. They didn't have hope. And that's when God reminded me, do you remember how you felt when that missionary gave you your pair of shoes? What if you can start coming and helping kids just like this? And man, I want to run away that day because I knew that was going to cost me something. And that's the reality. If you're living today and you're hearing this, you're called to do something big. I tell you what, it's going to cost you. But the question is, are you willing to do something that nobody else will do to help secure a future that nobody else can have? I thought those days when I was struggling, I didn't want to really do this stuff, but I didn't realize that was part of my setup for a greater blessing that's coming that I'm living on today. So it took me 5 years. Really, I'll be honest with you, I can't tell you that it's easy. I actually wrote a book titled Soul Purpose that people can read. You can go to soulpurposebook.com and get your copy. I promise you one is you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, and it's going to challenge you to go live out your purpose, because I truly believe God has placed us here to do something far greater, because he had a problem in mind that made you necessary, and you're here to fulfill that purpose, fulfill that destiny. And that's what I've been living. So fast forward 5 years after that there was this crazy aha moment in Africa. My wife and I started Samaritan. We left the successful software business that we're involved in, and to go start this mission to go put shoes in the feet of 10 million kids. And my friend said, Manny, you've gone cuckoo. It's okay, I know you had some revelation when you went to Africa, but now you want to give shoes to 10 million kids? And guess what? Not just give shoes for them. Is it true, this rumor I hear, you gonna wash their feet? I said, what they're putting your Kool-Aid in Africa, man? I said, man, I tell you what, I learned from this great mentor. I read about him in the book. It's the good book. I mean, some people call it the Bible, man. And I remember there was a specific book in the book of John, chapter 13, and it talked about this guy was the son of this amazing Jewish carpenter. I mean, some people call him Emmanuel. I'm named after him. Some people call him Jesus. But I heard he told his disciples, said, if you want to be great in life, you've got to be humble to serve others. And I heard one of the last acts he did before he left this earth. He said, even after all the temptation, all the craziness, man, I heard he put a towel around his waist and grabbed a basin of water. And one by one, he started to wash his disciples' feet. And he said, if you want to truly know the essence, the secret of greatness, he said, you do this. And if you do, you'll be blessed. I said, man, I want every poor kid in the world to be able to have what it means to be great, to experience greatness. Because when they are served, you give me the chance to be blessed, and you pay it forward and go reciprocate that to other people. So that's what we're going to do. So my friend said, man, let's watch this. Maybe you'll do this for a year or two. It's going to go back to the software business. Well, I'm here to tell you today. We started this in 2003. It's 2016. We've served now just about 7 million children in 78 countries around the world, 340 communities across the United States, with partners. I mean names like Walmart, Lowe's, JDA Software, Movement Mortgage. You got our friends right here at Lipscomb Pitch now, City Current. You know what I'm saying? We got all these great people like, you got Smith and Nephew. You got, the Grizzlies. The NBA, the NFL, the NCAA. It's amazing what people will come alongside of you if your vision is big enough and accommodating and create room for other people to help you live it out. It's been amazing.
And I want to go back because it wasn't always easy. And to your point, people thought you were crazy because you were leaving a very successful career. And even your own family, you had young children. And for your wife, Tracy, to say, you know what, I believe in you. I'm going to walk alongside you. I'm going to fully support you in this. There was a lot of struggle. You had saved up what you thought was enough money for about 3 years, and it didn't end up being that case. And so share a little bit of that story. Talk to the fact of those first challenges, because I think entrepreneurs especially think that, okay, I'm going to give up and I'm going to go all in on this and I'm going to make it big and it's going to happen like that. And they snap their fingers and they're expecting it. And all of a sudden, then you realize, oh my gosh, this is so much harder than I ever expected, and especially when you have a family and young kids. So give a little bit of the glimpse of that, those first few years.
It's amazing. I'm at the prime of my income-making potential. I'm in my early 30s. This is where you're an executive at a software company where you've been part of the core team that built it from the bottom up. We went and raised millions of dollars through VC funding, and we acquired customers, and things were going so well. I had 4 children. At this time, my youngest was less than a year, was just born. My wife, it's just like every other, suburban, upper middle class wife, man. She loves to go to the mall, shop, and do the things she loves to do. And I'm asking her to sacrifice. And then I say, I'm one of those guys who always had plan B's and C's just in case. At that time there was 6.5 billion people in the world. God may forget a little Nigerian boy in Charlotte just in case I wanted a plan B. So I said, man, just in case they forgot me, I had enough money to last me for 3 years, man. I want to be in the driver's seat, man. God didn't want that. See, I learned a very important lesson. we used to sing this song in Nigeria that says, Almighty God, that is your name. He said, he will never share his glory with anyone. I learned that hard way, because money that I thought was going to last me for 3 years, we went through it in almost 6 months. Because, I can see here, you read the book, get the book. It's crazy, because one night, Jeremy, you heard this story. My oldest daughter woke up in the middle of the night. Our appendix was ruptured. Now, I got to put it in context. Now I no longer work for this fancy corporation. I don't have fancy insurance. I got catastrophic plan. When you show up at the hospital, they didn't care if I was putting shoes on Eskimos. You got to write a check. So I was showing up there. I got to pay. Here goes the money. Okay, that's fine. A few weeks later, my daughter's playing outside, broke her elbow. Got to go to the orthopedic people. Yeah, it's not big. I can keep going and going. And one Friday, I was going to a meeting in Charlotte, and then we had this crazy ice storm. I'm driving this four-wheeler. I used to live in North Dakota, man. I'm a pro now. Man, it was like somebody took this truck from me, right through the median, Jeremy, into oncoming vehicle. Bang, bang, bang. 5 vehicles later, I thought I was dead. You should have seen it. The funny story. I saw the white powder from my airbag go up. I said, man, this is pretty ugly. This is what heaven looked like. I don't want no part of this. This is pretty bad. And I'm there, and I'm hearing the siren coming, and the fire department and the EMS folks, and they're doing triage. They didn't even come to my vehicle. And man, they thought I was dead. It was. I remember the lady that I hit. Our head was hunched over. I hit this Camaro so hard. I was praying. I said, God, I'm doing your work. Why would this happen to me? And I've never seen somebody cough look so good in my life. When she coughed and she got up, I was, thank you, G, I didn't kill her. And then they took them all to the hospital. And then finally, they came to my vehicle. And they looked inside. And there was nobody. I said, this guy was no projectile. This guy, the windshield was cracked, but these didn't go. I said, who was driving this vehicle? I raised my hands. And I still remember just like yesterday. And I remember that surgeon, that police officer, and that other fire guy said, somebody's been praying for you, son. I said, I hope they don't stop. Jeremy, can you believe that less than 24 hours from that day, my wife, taking my daughter to a birthday party, a lady ran a stop sign, T-boned her, totaled our second vehicle. This kind of things was happening. The one that really broke me was, I remember my wife going to the grocery store. Now you got to realize this is a gay lady that never had a lack for, what she has to do. I remember going to the grocery. I'm still getting emotional even thinking about it, because I think the total for our bill was $14.20 some. She only had $12 and some cents. She couldn't come up with $2. And I remember her calling me on the phone saying, "What are you doing to me?" And I felt like this little piece of kernel that I couldn't even support my own family. I was broken. And now I remember, I realize this time what the Bible says, that the broken and the contrite spirit that the Lord would not despise. And I remember going home that day, it was that evening, and I was listening to my radio, and there's this very famous preacher by the name of, actually it's out of Dallas. I'll remember his name here in a minute. He's the Dallas Mavericks chaplain for the NFL team, right? Come on, Tony. I'll remember in a minute here, but he was on the radio, and I remember he said something that day that changed my life. He says, sometimes God will allow you to hit rock bottom. But guess what's the rock at the bottom? He said his name is Jesus. And I remember I was at a rock bottom. I remember getting out of the car, touching the ground. I was looking for a rock. I said, God, if you're there, I need you now more than ever, because I'm lost. I can't even support my family. I can't help. And it was at that point that things started coming together. We found a partnership with some folks, because now God realized I can trust him, because I wasn't trying to be in the driver's seat. Before I didn't need God. I was trying to use God to accomplish my mission, but now I needed God, because he was going to be the true answer. But now look at it, fast forward. It's amazing. Now people see what we do. They thought it was always easy. It was never always easy. I think it was Maya Angelou I met later on in life. She said, some people, they see my glory, but they don't know my story. And that's the reality. And now they see it, but don't know what I had to get through to get me here.
And I think that's, to me, what's so important is, and even for myself, I haven't heard half of these stories, and I feel like you're a brother, and I know so much of your storyline. But that's the magic of this, is that it wasn't easy. And so people see the impact that you're having now and the new chapters that you're continuing to write, but yet you've gone through tremendous adversity to get to this point. And there's also a certain amount of appreciation. And when you look at even Tracy, your wife, sacrificing even to go to work at Target for a short while, waking up at 5 a.m. to go and stock shelves because that was the way to help support you, the family, the mission, the purpose to get where you need to go. And so fast forward today, when you look at what you're doing, as you pointed out, almost 7 million around the world that have been blessed with new shoes, washing the kids' feet, washing their feet and giving them hope and love. And, when you look at the next chapter now that you're writing today, and even having you here in Memphis and sharing your story with all the community here and the business leaders to be a part of this, is this world shoe. So you have the ability now, and imagine before where you would be given shoes primarily through donations or even you having to go buy them to be able to then ship, to get overseas, to then give to the children. Well, now you are going to be manufacturing your own shoe that is called the World Shoe. It's a little bit like a Croc, but it looks more like a sports shoe. And by design, it's something the kids can wear to school, they can wear to play sports in. But it has an antimicrobial. So it has medicine in the foot of it, in the heel and all throughout the bottom of it that will not only prevent footborne infection, but also heal it. And there's 1.5 billion people around the world that face footborne infection. And so you now are reverse counting. So you're saying we want to live in a world with 0 shoeless children, and you can eradicate things like jiggers and all of these issues of footborne infection. So you are not only a healing agent, you are becoming the healing agent for billions around the world. So share a little bit of a teaser for the listeners about the World Shoe.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like we have an opportunity to really be able to eradicate a major disease in our lifetime. You said it best, 1.5 billion people infected with diseases. That's preventable. I mean, paint a picture. Imagine going to a place like Ethiopia, where these people are agrarian in nature, farmers. They work in this farming communities where they're volcanic soil. And think about volcanic soil. It's a very fertile soil for the most part. But the sad part is many of these people, they live on $1. They can't afford shoes. So the soles of their feet is walking barefoot on this soil. Guess what happened? The silica in the soil eats away at the layer of protection on their feet, causes laceration, then attacks the lymph system of their feet. Guess what happened? It blows up. It becomes this stuff they call podocorneosis. It's a non-filarial type of elephantiasis. I mean, imagine your feet being 10 times big, and with secondary infection and pus, all of you smell. You can't work. You can't your children can't go to school because you can't afford to provide for them. You abundant leprosy. Nobody want to be a part of it. 4 million people in Ethiopia alone has this problem, and there are millions more around the world. 1 million of those 4 million in Ethiopia are children. You go across to the other side of Eastern Africa in Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania, some of these other places, they got these jiggers. They're parasites. They burrow through the feet, through the soil, eats away, and lay eggs in your feet, and then move to the bloodstream and takes over your body like sores. It's like you have leprosy. You know what the cure for it is? Shoes. 1.5, 1 billion people has got ringworms in the world that can be prevented. I'm telling you, we can do something. So we went ahead and partnered with a manufacturer, one of the large manufacturers. It's going to be actually made in America, made out of this great state of Georgia. It's going to be awesome. We've got the technology that actually has this built-in antimicrobial, which actually, the other cool feature of this is like, if the efficacy of this antimicrobial additive becomes weak, we can actually recharge it. Talking about, city current, we can recharge this stuff. We truly using chlorine to recharge it and then bring up the efficacy of this particular compound in the shoe, so that way they can use as long as they want to. And the other secret that we're going to unveil here on this show here on this blog is actually this shoe is going to be biodegradable in nature. It's going to be the first shoe of its kind that's not only antimicrobial but biodegradable. And we can put this pair of shoe on a child anywhere in the world for $10.
And that's the real magic. I think when you talk about ChangeMaker, that's, to me, this is exactly what it embodies, is you're taking something as simple as a shoe. You're using it as the healing agent, not only to be able to provide it as a vehicle, but now it truly is going to be the part that changes lives by saying we can eradicate footborne infection for 1.5 billion people by giving them shoes, and it's only going to cost $10 to be able to do that. $10. And with that, they get kits and all sorts of stuff with medicine. So, I mean, this really, to me, is something that is revolutionary. It has the potential to change the world and definitely to change the trajectory, the lives of billions of people. So we're running out of time. I want you to do two things. One is tell listeners now where they can learn more about Samaritan's Feet. Where can they learn more about the World Shoe? How can they get involved? We'll start with that one. And then we're going to flip it over to a little bit of a fun rapid fire. So tell them where they can learn more about Samaritan's Feet.
You can go to SamaritansFeet.org. I think you can definitely reach out to us, and we'll give you all the information you can. You can look us up on our YouTube channel. You can search for the World Shoe videos. You can learn a little bit more about the background and the genesis of this. You can go to any of the key social media handles, Twitter, you get Facebook, you get like Instagram. You go on and on. You can look for me, search for me on Google, Manny Ohonme. I want to know, because I want partners. We want to try and raise about 1 million of the shoes in the next few months by December, delivering this stuff to countries by Christmas. And not just heal their feet, but Jeremy, it's also a reconciliation tool. Conflict-laden countries know we're saving their lives physically, but where there are conflicts, imagine enemies washing each other's feet and asking for forgiveness, not just over balls. I'm excited. I can tell you, I mean, so those great. So people can learn. Your company can be involved. Your churches can be involved. Your school, private foundation, public foundation, you name it. I mean, you want to help. You can help one. You can help 1 million. But help be a part of this movement.
Well, I absolutely love everything you're doing. I'm proud that we're a part of it and a small piece of the legacy. But here's the fun part. So rapid fire. There's no like fancy music yet, but it's going to be like rapid fire. So just going to ask quick questions, just whatever pops into my head, and it's quick answers on your end. So let's have fun with this. What's a recent movie you've watched?
Oh man, I think the craziest one I just watched, I think, was the what's that one that I'm not good with titles. It's what's it called? Come on, man, I'm drawing a blank. Come help me out. It's the one with those two ladies. What's it called? Oh, come on, I just saw it like last week. I'm dying. Let's go to another one. Let's go to another one. Because I'm
favorite quote. We'll give you a favorite quote. What's a favorite quote? You've shared a bunch of them.
One of my favorite quote that's actually found in the Bible. I just found in the book of Proverbs. He said, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding." He said, "In all your ways acknowledge Him." He said He will direct your path. That's one of my favorite quotes in the world.
So, favorite thing to do to relax?
Oh man, I love to go just sit on the beach and just hear the sound of the ocean. Be with my family. I relax when I'm with them. They just bring the mojo.
Favorite place to eat in Charlotte?
Oh man, the favorite restaurant for me in Charlotte is actually owned by my friend John Love. Man, it's amazing. It's one of those restaurant, and I'm not it's an amazing place. It's right off of Tyvola Road, I see you can tell they call this concussion moment.
You've been speaking and traveling all day, so we'll give you a pass on a lot of this.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's gonna come back now. It's killing me, but we go there almost every Sunday. But I remember, because he'll get mad if I don't remember the name of his restaurant, because man, he takes care of my golf, he takes care of my gala, he takes care of all this stuff. Said you're drawing a blank in the name of my restaurant. What do you? He's called Hard Rock.
Oh, you're so good at teasing. Yeah. All right, so favorite book you've recently read?
It's actually by my dear friend Dr. Miles Monroe. Just the Audacity of Leadership. It's amazing. Taught me just the importance of living a life of purpose and being on mission, and realizing that you can be an answer to the world's problem.
You travel a lot all over the world, so give us a favorite country, city, place. What's somewhere you like to go?
Cape Town, South Africa. I truly believe God cheated all of us. I think all the extra parts it puts into that country, man, it's like amazing. The beach, the mountains, the animals, everything, man. I remember walking lions in South Africa. I said, man, if I'm not living in Charlotte or Memphis, man, I'm going to be living in Cape Town, South Africa.
Something that you're proud of?
I'm proud of my bride. She's one of the greatest gifts that's happened to me. A friend, a partner, just my greatest inspiration, my greatest advocate. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of my children. They are amazing. So I'm proud of Samaritan's Feet and all my friends. So I've been blessed.
Last question. You're building your legacy. You're writing your legacy every single day. But what do you hope that people say about you?
that Manny was a servant. That Manny washed the feet of the poor.
And I think that's the perfect way to end. So, Dr. Manny Ohonme, you are a change maker. I greatly appreciate all you do, not only here in Memphis to help us to serve thousands and thousands of kids, to bless them, but more importantly, to do it all around the world. So thank you very much for all you do and for coming on the ChangeMakers podcast.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the ChangeMakers podcast, produced by City Current and powered by Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance. To learn more about our guests and to share your stories, visit us online at citycurrent.com. Connect with us online using @CityCurrent or follow the conversation using the hashtag ChangeMakers. Now think big, start small, and act now. Be a change maker.